Hey, how's it going, everyone? I needed to record this quick little note before the video gets started. While rendering the video that you're about to watch, the file actually came out corrupted, which does, happen every now and again. And, it's not a normal occurrence, but, stuff can go wrong. I made the very idiotic decision to actually delete the files before I checked to see if the file was okay. And what happened when it was, I was trying to upload the file to YouTube, and YouTube wouldn't accept it. And then I finally realized that the file was corrupted then. My SSD is like really low on space. I have like, 15, 20 gigs left, so I tend to not keep a lot of files around if I have to. Yeah, that was unfortunately what happened. So I was able to recover the video via some software, but unfortunately the last 3 or 4 minutes of the video were completely deleted, and there's no way for me to recover it. I've actually tried, recovering the video file twice now. At this point, pretty much I'm just going to call that a lost cause at the end of the video there. But I'm going to play out the vast majority of the video is fine. It is only my kind of my ending segment and sort of my last points on the games I was talking about there that didn't make it into this video. But that's okay. So if you're watching this, I apologize for that. The quality may be a bit degraded. It looked fine. Passable for now, but I'll just keep that in mind going forward. Again, that's happened sometimes, but I was just being really foolish today and didn't fully realize it. So quick apologies there. I hope you get to enjoy the meat of the video nonetheless, and most of what I was talking about does come across fairly fine. I will be streaming later today that you're watching this video. I'll be streaming the End to Dying Light 2, as well as tomorrow on Saturday, my first impressions for Crossfire X, the single-player campaign from there. So if you'll be around and on my Twitch channel, join me there. Otherwise, I will see you guys later. And yeah, I appreciate you watching this quick video, and hope you enjoy it, barring in mind the few issues that I've had. So, all right, thank you guys very much. Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to another Month's End review vlog. In this video series, I sort of go over all the games I played in a month and give you my condensed mini review on each of them. So I didn't do one of these videos last month. It kind of worked out, in my favor, I guess, because I only played one game really last month. I was getting through, some long ones there. So we're going to be talking about both March and April in this video. I'm going to cover the games that I played then, and yeah, so why don't we just get to it. Alright, so for the month of March, I started it off strong. I started playing the Halo Infinite campaign. I've been playing the multiplayer, here and then when it was actually released and stuff, but finally I got to the main story of this. And, my history with 343's Halo games isn't, a secret. I've been very critical of their direction that they've taken the Halo campaigns with. I felt that they were uninspired, just rather boring, and felt rather rushed at the same time. Their campaigns usually clock in around 4 to 6 hours, and the storytelling isn't even that fulfilling at all. So I was really hoping that going into this game that they were just going to knock it off, out of the park, and it was just going to be a fantastic revitalization into the Halo series. And I have to say, I really enjoyed this campaign. I thought they did a really good job at bringing the fun and the character and just what was great about Halo to begin with back into this franchise. So I have to say that in terms of the storytelling, it is definitely much better than the previous 343 games. This game has some emotional moments. It has some tense moments. There's some drama going on there. The characters I didn't feel super attached to. I felt the villain in this one was kind of weak, to be quite honest. Although he probably was the best villain out of all the 343 games, but that's not saying much. What really made this game such a joy to play was the exploration element to it, what they did with Halo's gameplay in this game. You know, everyone knows they went for a more open world, you know, exploratory direction with this particular game. And I was unsure how that element was going to fit into Halo, because we've seen it on a smaller scale with the original Halo. And, you know, I was wondering what that was going to look like on a massive scale. Was this going to be downgraded to basically the Far Cry / Assassin's Creed style of gameplay, where you have a bunch of, you know, objectives and collectibles, and it's just this overwhelming amount of content? Or were they going to find a way to balance it out? And honestly, it was the latter in this case. They created a world in this game that feels huge but isn't so overwhelming. You have a lot of different objectives and side objectives in this world, and these are, you know, optional things. You don't necessarily have to do it. You can play this game in a somewhat linear fashion where you're just going from point A to point B in the story. But really, you're going to want to explore this world. Not only is it a beautiful world, there's, you know, lush jungles around you, lots of mountainous regions, and there are, you know, some collectibles and stuff in this game, but you'll run across, you know, enemies patrolling a different area, you know, different sort of audio books and stuff that you can collect. There's skulls back in this game. There's super rare weapons that you can actually acquire, and these actually are modded weapons that, you know, are sort of on top of the base weapons in the game, and you can actually unlock different forward operating bases, which act as fast travel points and allow you to spawn in you know, basically any weapon that you want or have unlocked during the game, so you can effectively have weapon class systems in, you know, your story campaign here, and go into an area feeling fully prepared with the weaponry that you actually want. I was really surprised. You know, in fact, the exploration element of this game really shocked me just how well polished it was. The grappling hook, which is a new addition to the Halo franchise in this, really helps make exploration fun. It allows you to experiment and try different routes that, you know, you may not necessarily work, but, you know, depending on, you can upgrade your equipment and stuff like that, you can actually get around the entire world in this really, you know, creative fashion. And it just really impressed me, man. I remember climbing up to this one mountain. I was using my grappling hook, and it was some super high point in the game. And I thought to myself, I'll just, you know, do a shortcut to basically cut across in a straight line to where I needed to go, instead of walking all the way around and taking all this time. And I got to the top of the mountain. I made it to the top, and I found a sniper's nest at the very top, where I was able to actually unlock my first sniper rifle in the game. And it's just those small moments like that where 343 has gone in here and placed things deliberately in the world in areas that you may not expect. I stumbled upon secret caves and hidden pathways, and, you know, this had like some upgrade points in one area, and then you had, like, you know, a full on, you know, enemy encampment on the other side. I was really impressed with this game's world, and I spent almost 20 hours in this campaign from start to finish. It is a long game, and it will last you a long time. And the writing is much better this time around. I have to say that Master Chief, the way he's written in this game, he has a very direct, very authoritative tone. Like, you know, he's very sure of himself. He has that confidence. But at the same time, he's someone who speaks from experience. I really appreciated the way that he was written, and the music. I think that this game, I'm gonna go out and say this, I think that this game has the best soundtrack in any Halo game ever. Like, I immediately bought the soundtrack for this game after I beat it, and I haven't purchased a soundtrack for Halo since the Halo 3 days. So it just goes to show you, you know, the quality of this experience is pretty good. There's some small, you know, issues here and there. You know, the game's cutscenes, the few that it has, since a lot of this stuff is actually done in-engine, which is actually very impressive. But some of the CGI cutscenes, the color tones are very off. You have, like, the blacks look gray, like a lot grayer. It's not my TV. My TV's calibrated and all that stuff. So, but the frame rate of the cutscenes as well is very choppy at some points. So, you know, there's a lot of some technical issues there, but through and through, the gameplay experience was extremely solid. The world was beautiful and a pleasure to explore. There's, you know, not such an overwhelming amount of content where you're just going to be frustrated and feel like, gosh, I just can't get through anything. I was able to get all the upgrades in a single playthrough. unlock the vast majority of collectibles, find all the secret weapons, and there's like a currency system with this game as well. When it relates to your skill points, you unlock more stuff. I was able to basically do all or the vast majority of the side stuff within a 20-hour container there of playtime. That's a very, very good number. And you're going to have a great time. I think even if you're not a Halo fan, you're going to enjoy the campaign experience of this game. So I highly do recommend it. I'm really happy that 343 has delivered on finally a solid Halo experience, because the campaign is a lot of fun. The gameplay element for the multiplayer is fun. They need to work on the progression, though, especially these days. We have Season 2 releasing very soon. I don't know if that's going to pull me back in, but the multiplayer is sort of a pay-to-win. It's kind of like a pay-to-unlock situation. I wouldn't say it's pay-to-win, but pay-to-unlock stuff. You barely progress if you're not paying money, basically. And I'm sorry, but in my opinion, if you buy the game for $60, which is what I did, you should get the battle pass with the full game here, but unfortunately, if you're buying the disc here, you're only getting the campaign with this, since the multiplayer is free to play. So it's kind of like two separate applications. It's very weird. Anyway, great campaign, solid effort here. I'm looking forward to more, hopefully in the light of what Infinite's experience was, and I can't wait to explore a much larger, more diverse world as well. So very much a surprise, and enjoyed this one. Alright, so after Halo Infinite, I followed it up with a double-A game. This isn't really an indie game, but Chorus. This game, some of you might recall that this was shown during one of Microsoft's E3 presentations, but I decided to give it a shot. It's sort of a sci-fi epic, but in the vein of space combat, where you basically have a spaceship that you're flying around, and it's all space combat. You're not sitting here in like a third-person shooter or anything like that. It's strictly space combat and flying around and stuff like that. This game is interesting. It's got an interesting world, an interesting narrative and premise. The problem with this game is that it goes so in-depth with its lore. Like, it starts... The characters are doing stuff and it expects you just to sort of follow through with what's going on, but it's so complex, it's so kind of detailed in a way, and they don't explain any of it to you. And so half the time I was playing this game, I didn't know what the fuck was happening. I was just following the objectives. I didn't know why the character was going through this specific melodrama. The game has some religious undertones that relate to Chorus, which is something that there's like a faction that's like trying to oppress people and like force people into this sort of messiah like entity. It's something very odd. I don't even know how to explain it. I couldn't follow through with this game's story. However, there is a game here outside of the story. And the gameplay is fast-paced, typical air combat style of gameplay here. So you're going to be doing, flying your ship around at high speeds, you're doing drifts, you can do 360, rolls and all this stuff. The gameplay was fun in bursts. However, I do think that this game overstays its welcome. It took me 8 to 10 hours to actually get through this game. I think it was around almost 10 hours to actually beat this game from start to finish. I did do, half of the side missions in the game, and I could have spent another 5 hours or so just playing the side missions in this game, but the side missions don't really give you anything but currency, and you use that currency to upgrade your ship and to unlock better weapons and stuff. So there's that incentive, but again, there's no real narrative there's no real narrative encouragement behind that, so you don't really feel propelled to actually go out there and do any of this stuff, especially when you don't know what's going on from an emotional characteristic level. It's very bizarre, it's very weird. I enjoyed the combat for this game, but I felt if it was 6 hours and much more linear, actually, because this game allows you to sort of fly around. There's different different space regions that you go to and stuff like that. You won't land on any planets or something. It's strictly in, dead space. But there's asteroids around and stuff like that. You'll be entering these weird structures, and there's some, kind of very alien-like atmospheres here. It's interesting. That's all I can say about it. I don't know if I recommend it. I guess if you're the type of person, if you like this sort of hardcore sci-fi type of narratives, and you like something that's more deep on, I guess, a lore level and you like space combat, I guess it's worth a look. But I didn't understand what was going on. I wasn't really emotionally drawn during any scenes. It's got some really cool, epic, big space battles that you will participate in, and the soundtrack is pretty cool as well. But outside of that, you know, I didn't really find much of a reason, I guess, to play this, other than just unlocking some trophies, I guess. You know, it just kind of felt diluted, I guess, because it didn't really fully explain or take the time to draw you into its world. It sort of just thrusts you in there and expect you to go with it. So yeah, it was all right. You know, again, nothing. I'm probably gonna forget about this game after a few months, to be completely honest with you. But you know, I did play it, and those were my thoughts. Alright, and to end this video, I am currently playing, and I will be completing tomorrow live on stream on my Twitch channel, Dying Light 2. I have finished with the games for 2021. I am now fully in the 2022 releases, and this is the first one I played, Dying Light 2. I wish I could recommend this game, man, and it breaks my heart to say that, but honestly, hear me out here, because this game's got some major issues that are inexcusable and impact the main gameplay experience. I have to say, first off, before I start getting into this, that I've had 2 people with an additional person this week, so 3 people total, tell me that their experience with this game was flawless, but they were on PC. So apparently, you know, these were 3 completely random people, you know, across the internet. Apparently, the PC version of this game is perfect. It's the version that you're gonna want to play. So if you have a computer that's powerful enough to run this game, preferably with some ray tracing, because of how gorgeous the ray tracing implementation is in this game, you're gonna have a fantastic experience. However, if you're playing on consoles, and I'm playing this on the Xbox Series X, this is a current generation console. If you're playing this on current, you know, or even last generation systems, it's a cross-gen game, I can't recommend this game. The polish is not there. It has nothing to do with performance, all right? It even has nothing to do with the graphical quality of this game. You know, I'm playing this game, the Series X has a balance mode, so I'm playing it at 60 FPS, the frame rate's stable, it runs perfectly fine. The game looks competent, it looks good in some portions. I wouldn't say it's the PC version, because that version looks completely different, you know, when you have all the ray tracing effects turned on, but the game looks good, and it runs well, so it's not a problem with the way this game plays. It's a problem with polish. I have run into bugs consistently, and these are not small bugs. One of these bugs was actually game breaking, and it was only through this game's feature where it has a rollback save option. This allows you to basically restart the game from a previously saved checkpoint. However, the game has an autosave feature and doesn't allow manual saving, so it's up to the game whenever it actually determines where that previous save point was. So I'll start off by talking about the glitches, and let's talk about that game-breaking bug first. I started this game one day, and I was stuck in a loading screen consistently, forever. The game actually loaded in the background, and I could, you know, hear my character walking around and, you know, talking and stuff like that. But what I saw on my screen was nothing but a loading screen in a circle, and the whatever background of art that they were using at the time. And it stayed like that forever. I actually restarted the game, I restarted my console, I did everything possible except uninstall and reinstall the game. I did not go that far. But I had to use that rollback save option, and if that was not there, if that was not the feature they implemented into this game, I would have not been able to play the game. It would have literally been broken for me permanently, and I would have not been able to continue. That in alone is inexcusable. I'm glad there was a feature in order to fix that, you know, by replaying 45 minutes from a previous checkpoint, but it's inexcusable that I ran into that situation in the first place. Alright? Now, in terms of random gameplay, I'll say this, when I first started playing this game, there's 2 different open world regions. I spent 25 hours in the first region of the game before I went to the second region of the game, which is like the latter 40% of the game, right? It's like the halfway mark is when you get to the second region. By the way, yes, I'm about 50 hours into this game. I think I'm just over 50 hours at this point, so I played the hell out of it. It's not like I'm sitting here, you know, just trying to force my way through it. I'm literally trying everything I can to find that hook to continue playing, but I'll get to that in a sec. The further I get through this game, the buggier it gets. And it's not an exaggeration. The game was mostly fine during the first half, the first 25 hours in that first region. I didn't run into really major glitches. Like, the most heinous thing I ran into was someone clipping through like an object, you know, like they didn't spawn right. Fine, it's a random NPC, whatever, you know, you could laugh at that, then ignore it and continue on with your day. But as I progressed into this game, I found myself in combat with zombies and people. All of a sudden, they disappear from me right in front of my eyes, like just completely poof. You know, like you're hitting them and stuff like that, then gone. And just, I wish I could. I honestly can't make this up. And I have this on video. I actually did a stream live on Twitch, and I'll leave a card right here in case anyone wants to watch it, because it happens in that stream where literally I'm fighting zombies and they just disappear right in front of me, just completely. It's so weird. And you know, I was playing this game earlier in the weekend, and running across, you know, this path, all of a sudden I get to this body of water, and the entire water texture turns black, like it's starting to be consumed by darkness. And I turn my camera around, look away, and it's fixed. You know, that's not such a big of a deal, but it gets worse. I found a lighting bug where it was supposed to be 2 a.m. in the middle of the night in the game, and all the zombies come out during the middle of the night. That's like when the game gets really, you know, it's supposed to be more difficult, where you're supposed to stick to the rooftops and stuff. That's the hook of this game. And it didn't, the skybox was glitched. It was sunny and bright outside at 2 in the morning. I haven't seen a glitch like that since the Fallout 76 days. There's another glitch I ran into where your enemy, or where your compound, your safe zone, gets overrun by enemies, okay? And they start rounding people up, you have to save everyone, it's a story mission. But as I was sitting there defeating all the enemies, and by the way, all the random people from the town are locked up in cages, all of the vendors in that area are just sitting there, you know, working. There are people like swiping their desks and building things and fixing drinks and stuff like that. All the vendors are perfectly like left unattended, and the entire encampment is being overrun by enemies. And it's like, this is immersion breaking stuff, and this just keeps on happening consistently. Every single time I've gone back to play this game, ever since I've hit the second halfway point through of my experience, I have at least run into one glitch, and it's usually immersion breaking like that. It's a problem. It's a problem. And people have told me who played this on console that they decided to not play the game. Like they left it because it got too ridiculous. It got to the point where they couldn't enjoy their experience. And this really sucks, because if you ignore all of the issues, the game is fun. It's still fun to play. It has that same addictive gameplay loop of the first Dying Light. I will say, though, it's not on that game's level, though. I think I definitely enjoyed Dying Light 1 a lot more than this game. In fact, I enjoyed Dying Light 1's world more than this game. Dying Light 1's main issue was its writing, its storytelling. You would think that, you know, that's the main priority that you want to fix for its sequel, and unfortunately this is another game where the storytelling is at times even weaker than what we had in the original game. In fact, where the original game's narrative, where it faltered at that point, it made up for it in its side missions. The side missions in the first Dying Light were tremendous. They had great writing, cool characters. You really, you know, like some of those missions really stuck with me. I remember one of these side missions, you know, and it was just some really, you know, interesting, crazy twists. You met really cool people and stuff like that. There is nothing in this game that's even remotely close to the level of some of those side missions in the first game. And this is a game where, you know, we had a lot of development issues, a lot of stuff went wrong. This game was delayed for years, and so it's like a miracle we got it at all, I guess. But it is unfortunate that, yeah, those development issues have unfortunately plagued this experience for me, at least on console. Apparently, again, the game on PC is perfect. No one's run into any issues, the game handles fine, there's no glitches or anything like that. But still, if I sort of take a step back and ignore all the glitches, just, you know, completely look the other way and judge this game based on a content level, Yeah, there's a lot here for your money, but it's not as interesting as the first game. The world is not as interesting as the first game. The characters are not as interesting as the original game. The side missions are boring. They're tedious. They're not as interesting as the first game. I like the parkour missions and challenges and stuff like that. Those are fun. You know, you have a lot more moves. The combat in this game, the way that they've redone their combat, they got rid of guns, by the way, and there's a narrative reason behind that they explain, but they got rid of guns, and I thought I was going to really kind of be annoyed at that. I'm not. The combat engine in this game is great. It might just be one of the best first-person combat, melee combat systems that I've ever played in a video game. It's really good, even though they've taken away a lot of control. There's no kick button in this game. It's a 2-button combination. Almost every move from the first game is now a combination of 2, 3, or sometimes 4 buttons. It's kind of crazy. But it works, and there's a lot more moods and a lot more variability at your disposal here. So